But you see these are just really simple examples. So maybe you just, and you see the dates. So I try this basically every month. The June, July, August, that's your stuff. And maybe you say, if the kid's going to go to San Jose State, maybe you take him for a tour of San Jose State. If he's going to Mission College, maybe you still take him for a tour of San Jose State to say this is what you're shooting for. And then just a little bit of a comment here on the side, again, to jog your memory about what you did and how you worked together. I mean, what you did together and what you did so that the next time when you look at it, you know what you did. And so we got the phone call, we got the lunch on campus. Being on campus with them, I think, is a really powerful thing. It'll be fun for you, and it will give you an idea of what they, you know, you're going to have to try to find them on campus. You know, you'll have something in common. You see, I put in a plug here for, you know, got the copy of his grade report to turn into the Kiwanis. Well, we don't even really have an overall system for turning into the Kiwanis, but each of your clubs does, right? So this is his grade report. That's his, you know, transcript. We really what I asked you for was what we suggested is the basic is the enrollment form and then the transcript at the end of the year. But you know, if you want to ask him for a grade report, that's kind of a normal thing to do and see how you're doing. Okay, and here asking some questions about his classes and his living situation. So this is in January, so when they go back to school, you know, you go back to your ask and listen stuff and you say, okay, what am I supposed to be asking about here again, and get some ideas and things that you're listening for and give suggestions for how to go back. So you're not going to remember all this. That's why I'm giving you a handbook about this, okay, so that you can something to refer to. Okay, and so let me just talk a little bit about the handbook. Elias, this is thanks to Elias. He put this together, the heart of it, on, you know, what is a mentor, and there are some really good thoughts in here. So I absolutely recommend that you have a look at it. And then what the studies of mentoring indicate, and then the suggested goals. Those are the things that we have on there. That's the commitments. And we also have in here something, the mentee goals, and so they're sort of the converse of yours, right? So the first is to attend this class, because the way we're trying to structure it is to, if they don't attend the class, they don't get to collect their money, because the whole idea of attending the class is to increase their chances of success. And so that they maintain the relationship, that they talk to their mentor in person, that kind of thing. And then the one that I think will be very powerful is to attend and help with this orientation college class next year. Because that's another thing that we found in the research is that if the kids get into a cohort, a group that moves through college together, so much the better. You know, so if you have 3 kids that are going to City College and 5 kids that are going to Mission, if they can, you know, form a group and by meeting at something like this, in a class like this, you know, there are going to be kids here that go, oh, you're a turnaround scholar. If they haven't been to their luncheon yet, they wouldn't even know it. Well, now they're going to be in this class together, and then when they get to school together, hopefully they'll, you know, have some more connections, and then to ask them to come back and help with this next year, I think will be very good, because kids find that extremely helpful to have somebody, oh, you've been here. You know, like if I show up, they're like, who is this old dame that I don't know and don't care about? You know, she doesn't know me from Who Tied the Dog. But if they meet somebody that's more their age and has been through what they're doing, I think it's going to be even more powerful. Okie dokie. And then these are the 5 easy steps, the meeting and capturing. And then this is very important, the mentee contact. This is about the 5th page. Mentee contact information. You do not want to leave here today without getting all of this. Some of you I know have already gotten this. In the past, I know some of the clubs, if you had mentors, you left it up to the mentee to contact you, or you did it. But we're suggesting that you know, we think that the most powerful thing you can do is for you to kind of take the lead on this. Okay, so you definitely want to get all this information about, you know, what is their cell phone? Do they check their cell phone? My kids don't really check their email. I have a 16-year-old and a 19-year-old. They don't really check their email too often. They check I text him. I have to text him, you know. But if you're not a texter, you got to find that out with this kid and say, you know, can I ask you to check your email? Or you can always phone him. And here's the other hot tip. Right. And here's another hot tip about, if you don't know this about voicemail now, about phone, leaving phones. Okay, kids don't listen. Don't bother leaving a message. They don't listen to it. They just see that you call, and then they call you back. And you're like, well, did you listen to my message? No. So don't even waste your breath. Just once you know that you've gotten through, you just leave it and they'll call you back. And then you don't have to repeat what you said on your message and feel like an idiot for having done it, okay? So just know that. I didn't know that until a couple years ago when those little puzzly children reminded me.
I just
Let me know. Okay, and then you see on the bottom optional information to track the scholarship payments. That's optional, but that's just to give you the idea that you can help whoever it is in your club that's doing the tracking of payments, because that's another thing we are going to work. Mr. McKee here has very kindly offered to help us with putting together a tracking system. We're going to make it super simple for you. And then you see the activity log looks a little bit like this. It's just not quite as colorful. And the last thing in this page is this mentor agreement. If you look at it, this is something, again, from Peninsula College Fund, and I adapted it a little bit. And it's not meant to be scary or whatever. It has some really good points in it that you might not otherwise, I certainly never thought of before. So I just kind of wanted to go through this. So the first one is the commit to being a mentor for at least 1 year. I don't know if you realize you did that, but you know that most Kiwanis mentees, they are for 1 year for sure. You're giving them money for 1 year, and most of the clubs allow them to come back and apply for a second year. So the Peninsula College Fund that we work with, these kids, like I said, are mostly going to four-year colleges. They commit for 4 years, and they're all volunteers too. So you're just signing up for 1 year, okay? You're committing to the monthly contact. This is, again, nobody's ever going to check, but the idea is to talk with them monthly and then have at least 3 in person. That's the suggestion. Of course, to be a positive role model and to develop a relationship of trust and respect. That's pretty obvious, you guys know that. To attend this mentor training, bless your little hearts, you're here. Oh, excuse me. My harp is calling. Let me see if it's
a finable offense.
So yes, it is. And they take your phone away in school. My kid's school. My son learned how to text behind his back, but whatever. He's not stupid, that boy. Okay, so here's one that you might not have thought of, but number 5, never meet with my mentee while under the influence of alcohol or other drugs. Okay, that might seem like something to say, to go, it goes without saying, Mr. Vucinich.
Has it always been under?
It's for people like you that were listening to this, okay? So, really, you think about that. That would not be a very good idea, okay? So you've got to be explicit about that, okay? Again, nobody's ever going to check on that, but we would hope that you wouldn't even have to mention this, but, it's a good idea, so that's why I like it. Never use sexual innuendo or engage in any appropriate sexual behavior or language in my mentee's presence or in communications with my mentee. Again, should be really bloody obvious, but it's a good thing to mention. Okay, it is a different world today than it was when we were young, and it's never, ever, ever, ever appropriate to make any sort of sexual innuendo comment. Enough said. Okay, and confirm that I've never been arrested. Okay, so let's all.
There's a difference between arrested.
But I was innocent.
So let's get straight.
Okay, well let's all just solemnly swear, except for Craig there. Solemnly swear I've never been arrested. Okay.
What if we did something really wrong when we were young?
Okay, solemnly swear I've never been convicted.
Everybody has.
Perfectly dread.
Who hasn't?
Okay, now this is really important. Is not expect to be a counselor to my mentee. Okay. You are not, unless you are, a master's in family therapy or a clinical psychologist or any one of a number of kinds of therapists or counselors, okay? Unless you happen to be trained in that. Would you do?
No, I saw that and I thought that that's very appropriate. And brings me to one of the questions that I had that I really had a difficult time dealing with, and that is asking the students to provide us with their grades or their transcript. I mean, that is, we're dealing with adults at this point, and that is a private matter.
Right.
Okay, and I understand that, okay, so we're going to fund them. The only thing that we need to know is, are they registered or are they not registered? It is the role of the academic counselor to deal with grade issues. I know that when my son went to college, I stopped asking him for his grades.
Right.
Although I was paying for the tuition.
Right.
But I trusted that that he was doing what he was supposed to be doing.
Right.
And I treated him as an adult.
Right.
As a matter of fact, the university will not provide parents with grades or anything.
Unless your kid says that they will, because
Well,
my kid
yeah,
said he would,
I guess
so I get to look at his grades every day?
I mean, if the mentee comes up and says, hey, look at my grades, that's fine.
You're right.
But for me to ask them and tell them, let me see your grades, I want to see that.
Right.
And then, again, that is the role of a academic counselor. And
Right.
right there it says, we are not counselors. We are not academic counselors. We're
Right.
none of those. And so I'm not sure that the appropriateness, and I'm sure that whoever developed this plan put some thought into it, but I'd like to understand the rationale for it. I definitely am not going to ask my mentee for his grades, no matter what.
Right. And of course, this is completely up to you. These are suggestions again, and I absolutely get your point, and you're absolutely completely correct. And if you have the kind of relationship that lets you ask for kids' grades, then I would ask for the kids' grades if they feel comfortable, and they can always just say no. But Elias has
I
something to
think
say
you
about
make a great point, Rafael. I think all of us were kind of caught up in a dilemma because how they obtain information from the kids that they are making progress. I think it's good information to have for the foundation and for all of us that the kids are making some kind of progress and they are enrolled. So how much can we ask related to that? We were hoping that mentors could be the communications between mentees and us that are interested in data. You find out how many kids are really enrolled, how many kids are really taking that X amount of units, and how many are succeeding in that. I mean, that's a very delicate, because after hearing Rafael, I think, how are we going to do that if we want to?
Well, and I think that, following that same thought, I think it is the role of the academic counselors at the schools to deal with whether the student remains eligible to continue with school. If the school says, no, you're not eligible, therefore they cannot register, then, I mean, we will get that information without having to acquire that, to be that invasive into the private lives of
Right. And
adults.
if you're not comfortable doing that, then don't.
Yeah.
That's the answer to that. Rick?
Yeah, I think the main thing was that we wanted to make sure they completed a certain amount of credits.
Yeah,
If they're registered and completed credits.
Right.
We don't care what the grade is. We just want to make sure they're making progress on credits.
Right. We don't, if you pass with a C or whatever it is, right. And so, and we also.
You can pass with a D.
Okay.
You just don't get a fail or a dropout.
Okay.
We just want to make sure they have enough credit.
Okay, that's right. And thank you for reminding me of that. And so what we talked about, I'll get to. So what we talked about in the subcommittee when we were doing this was that we're talking about recommending that these kids have a full load of credits. So pretty much either if you take a semester program or a quarter program, that's generally 12 units, okay? So there are going to be schools that count them differently. There are going to be, there's going to be schools that count that differently, but every school has its definition of what a full load is. And so what we settled on was we want these kids to have 12 units in a semester, in a quarter. And the idea is if you're going to give them that money, you want them to be responsible to be forwarding their education. having said that, of course, there are going to be situations where there are kids that work full-time. There are plenty of kids that work full-time and absolutely don't have time for this. We understand that. There are going to be kids that have to take care of their own children. We have kids that have children. We have kids that have to take care of, there was one gal on the east side thing who has been taking care of a grandmother and her mother for years, you know. So there are going to be situations where kids cannot do 12 units. And again,
It's a local option.
that's one of those things that you work with them on that. That's our job as adults and helpers, is to work with them on that. And you know, it's all about good faith. It's all about, you know, hoping that they are continuing their education and moving forward, making progress. So those are guidelines again. Pat.
I think Dina was next.
Dina.
And then I would like to make a comment.
So I was just going to make a comment that if you know the grades of your mentee, that gives you a good guide as to what kind of support they may be needing in school. So if they're getting D's, that might give the mentor an opportunity to have a conversation about what support services that the mentee may need. So getting the grades isn't necessarily a negative. Maybe they are uncomfortable showing you, but it would be a really great thing so that you can build a support system around them so that they can be more successful in all of their life. So I'm not sure that the grades are a negative.
I think it's going to be individual. We're going to have kids that
Right.
are motivated for whatever reason, and you know, go like Graham. I mean, he's got his son who's an attorney, and he's got all kinds of scholarship, and he won't have to worry. He will. But we will have kids that we have to even, believe it or not, there's some kids that have a problem even using the computer, and so there's just we're going to have a big range, and your point is also well taken. It just depends on the.
And I'll come back to JR. Pat.
I just have a couple of comments. Sometimes when the kids send me their registration, they send me the grades too. We've never asked for it, but they sometimes do it.
Right.
So, and when you get that registration, you know whether or not they're taking their units and how many units they're going to take. That's not a problem. And the third thing I wanted to make a comment on is that we had a youngster, or a young adult, who only took half the load of units, so we just sent them half the money.
Mm-hmm. There's no way to do it.
And then told them that, you know, we would send them the rest when they took, if they took
Mm-hmm.
whatever.
You know.
Thank you for that.
Can I say something?
Okay,
I'm
Bob. Bob, go ahead.
You know, we already have set that precedent though, because we've already asked them in high school for their grade, for their, in order to select the recipients of the scholarship. So it's something they may be expecting. So it may not be as traumatic, if you will, as maybe we think. I mean, they already know they had to give it up in high school. And, I mean, you can set that early on and say, you know, we need to qualify you for the next semester. Just let us know how many units. And the easiest thing is to transcript if you can get it, move on from there. I think if you make a big issue out of it, maybe that becomes a matter.
Right, and the other thing is, we're hoping that long term we can gather some data about this, that the kids, you know, the kids that did this is the kind of grades that they got. And I understand there are privacy issues, just, you know, right off, absolutely. And I understand that it should be the job of an academic counselor to take care of that kind of thing. But there are going to be cases where your mentee is not necessarily very well hooked up with an academic counselor. And there are going to be cases where you don't feel comfortable doing that, and that's fine and dandy. But and we don't have it even set up now. We don't have a structure for tracking the grades. You know, at this point, we're starting out. These are our baby steps in tracking how many kids did you offer scholarships, how many kids actually collected the money because they turned in their proofs of enrollment, how many kids made it through the first semester or quarter, and second and third, and how they did, you know, because that's another measure of success in this program. So that's what we're kind of trying to think of long term.
You were kind of reading my mind. We got to remember, all of us, that things that we are putting here, these are babies, these are initial steps. This is a work in progress. And you want to find out this works, it doesn't work. And anything that works, we want to know. Things that doesn't work, we also want to know, so that either improve it or eliminate it or whatever. And I already thinking, okay, we're going to asking them, we need some data. How are we going to collect that data? I'm already just thinking, okay, maybe the mentors, we will ask them a simple question, how many units do your mentee work, or is he still enrolled, or is he collected the funds? We'll probably send a survey to get information from your mentees, all information that you may have or may not have. But at least we got to find a tool on how to collect data, like you was begin to say. We'd like to know how everybody's doing, the success of the program, and how many kids are enrolled, and how many are not enrolled, how many are collecting the funds, how many are not, and et cetera, et cetera. And it'd be nice to know their GPA, but again, that's when it gets delicate.
Okay, JR, you had something?
I'm just concerned that we may be failing these young men and women in some sense if we're not tracking their grades. I'd hate to think that because I didn't ask one of my mentees that he or she flunked out, and I didn't ask the question and it was under the radar, and then lo and behold at the end of the year I find out that my kid's not going to school, they've dropped out of the system. And maybe that's a question I should have asked. Maybe not that they have to give it to me, but that I should at least inquire if they're willing to offer it up, then go down that road.
Exactly, and that's another thing, that's like kind of the design to talk to them once a month. If you talk to them once a month, you're going to get an idea, are you struggling? Because if you're struggling in math, there are math tutors, there's free tutors or whatever. You can, you can help them, or you can say, you should go look, you should talk to your academic counselor and find out, you can find a tutor.
And as a piggyback on that, we work hard to generate the money to send these kids to higher education, and there ought to be some sense of obligation and responsibility back to us. I don't know why we can't expect them at least to honor our effort in some sense, to thank us for what we've done.
Right, and that's one of the reasons we're...
I mean, in terms of reporting their grades and their success.
Well, if you look at any grant program, they have to provide grades. They have to maintain certain levels in order to qualify. So I don't think we should feel uncomfortable expecting that.
Yes.
Yeah, these kids earn the right to go to school. They earn the right to get the grant. They earn the right to get in college. They earn the right to stay in college. They're entering a world of responsibility, of meritocracy and responsibility. There's no secrecy.
So,
the longer they stay in that environment, the more public their performance is.
So, I think we all get that. I think everybody gets the idea here, and everybody's going to have a different sort of approach to it, and that's fine. And again, nobody's going to be checking on you. It's just whatever your club's requirements are for collecting. Maybe you don't end up collecting grades. Maybe you only collect proofs of enrollment, because if you're enrolling, that means you've been successful in the immediately previous semester or quarter. They wouldn't sign you up again. Okay, so you get it. Okay?
I think Ruben had a question.
Ruben?
No, I was just going to make a comment that we should be careful in protecting their privacy. But a simple tool could be maybe a questionnaire or a release asking them, would you be comfortable releasing your grades periodically?
That's an excellent suggestion. So that's something you can talk about as a club. You might want to do something simple like that, but that could be an extra little tool that you put on the TAS website and that everybody could use, something like that. We didn't get to that level in our discussions.
Yes, I don't know if this is the right time. And it's a question of who you make the check out to, and how do you assure that it gets to what its intended purpose is, that is to compensate for the expenses of college or trade school.
And that is up to each club. And I would say that most of the clubs that generally send it directly to the school, so that it makes that it's definitely used. And they almost all of them have mechanisms for if the kid ends up dropping out, they can either get a partial refund. But that's totally up to the clubs. We're not going to be checking on that. Just ask whoever it is in your club that does that. They know that stuff cold. They all have their own ways of doing that. Okay, and then there are some clubs that do give the money directly to the kids, and there's a great argument for that, because you think about these kids. These kids are kids of very little means. and there's some startup costs associated with going to college, you know, and particularly if you're going to, community college is obviously the best smoking deal in California, but if you're going to a 4-year college, there are costs ahead of time. And I work with a couple of other organizations that give scholarships, and we give the money directly to the kids because we know that they need it to buy books or to pay some, you know, fee that they need to pay before they pay their tuition. But I have to tell you that financial aid organizations in schools nowadays get it. You know, my kids at UCLA, I get it. They get it. They know that they're getting money from all different places. They're very good at tracking it. They're very good at letting you know if it hasn't come in, and they know how to disperse it. So all you have to do is hook up with the college. To answer your question about that, I've done that with many colleges because we give scholarships to kids to go to all different kinds of places, and with these other organizations that I work with, and you call up, and in 2 minutes you've got the scoop on how to do it. You know, if you're sending it to a UC, it has to be made out to the UC regions, and there's someone in your club that actually knows way better than I exactly how you go about that. And if there's not, they should be talking to another club to get that scoop. Okay? Any other questions on that? Okie dokie, artichoke. Okay, so our little fun and games for today, to break it up so in case you're falling asleep, is to do a little role play. So I have two situations that I want to work with you guys on that. Did you hear my little sound? Yeah, it didn't work so well. But, so the first one is about an unresponsive mentee. Okay, so I want everybody to break into little twosies, and if you're somebody that's odd.
Wait, that's an open door.
Leaves me out.
If you're an odd number of people, or you don't feel comfortable with the person next to you, like no one wants to be with Mr. Emperor because he's too important, then you know find a buddy and break into two twosies. And then one of you plays the mentor and one of you plays the mentee, okay? And if any of you has ever dealt with a kid in high school, you know that they can be very unresponsive, okay? I'm not talking from personal experience, but I'm guessing that you know what this is like. And so one of you gets to play the unresponsive teenager. But in all seriousness, try to put yourself, the person that plays the student, try to put yourself in the place of a kid who's been through something hellish, okay? And seriously hellish, you've heard these stories. Or just be your little kid, whoever your 16-year-old junior in high school bratlet that you have to deal with at home. I'm just joking, she's adorable. But anyway, and I want you to really pay attention to the interaction and think about some of the things that we talked about today for strategies, and feel free to use your handbook, because if you go to the Ask and Listen, there's some great stuff in there. Persistence, that's almost the last page, is a very good thing to look at. And you just pause and say, I'm gonna look up some ideas. And not when you're talking to the kid, but and then we're gonna compare notes afterwards. Okay, so let's do this for about 15 minutes. Okay.
I'm gonna be
Go.
even though we're a little.
Can we break? Can we do
Sure, which would you like to be?
Either way.
Ruben, go get one of those boys.
I'll be an unresponsive mentee. I'm gonna turn that off
Yeah, but they're in their 30s now.
Pause. Here's some suggested questions.
We should go find out what my job is to make the rest of it. You have to run the registration. Find out where you can do this, and don't go after the.
Don't try to figure out why.
So, Dina,
That's pertinent to
what do you think?
Yeah, exactly.
and ask questions.
I don't.
You don't? Well, tell me what you think about the turnaround scholarship program. And are you excited about going to college? No?
I don't know.
What do you want to do in life?
But if you keep it
What do you like? What inspires you?
I like video games.
Yeah? What do you do in your free time?
Hang out.
Yeah? What do you like to do with your friends?
You know what I do? A lot of times, like I did this
So maybe learning how to program video games would be something cool? Yeah? Think you'd like that? It'd be kind of cool to make those games. That'd be cool as the designer of the game. You can tell your friends how to get ahead.
I'm not really that
You sure? You seem pretty smart to me.
I hope they give us a set of contracts.
So, have you enrolled for your classes?
I think so.
I think so. I'm sure you got a copy of your transcripts or your enrollment application, right?
My mom's got it. I don't know.
Okay.
They're kind of making me do it.
What's that?
They're kind of making me do this.
You don't want to do this? Well, you don't have to.
What else am I going to do?
Sure do.
You could Burger King or McDonald's or pick up a shovel if you want to do hard labor. Higher education is a good thing.
Registration?
Yeah.
Tutorial services are interesting.
You're not giving me an inch. Okay, so you've got your enrollment in, you're set up.
Yeah.
What, you go to a junior college or are you going to city college? Where are you going this year?
I'm going to Deanza.
Yeah, so you're going to live at home then, right?
Yeah.
Excellent. You plan on working while you're going to school?
I don't know. It's hard to find a job.
Yeah. So you have a job right now? You pretty much sit at home and surf the internet and play video games.
It's cool. I like it.
Say that again?
I like that.
You like what?
Playing video games.
Oh.
So what?
Cool. So, how many units are you taking at junior college?
And by that time, yeah.
It's a class? How many hours of class per semester?
I wish you'd stop us.
No. I can imagine a really difficult student.
Full time.
Full time. Okay, so what does full time mean to you? 4 units or 10 units? So, would you agree to go through a mentorship program with me over the next year as you embark on your college education?
I guess.
Yeah?
Be good.
What can I do to help you?
Get my mom off my back.
Yeah? Tell me about that. What's that look like?
I really need a job.
Yeah. Because if we figure out how to get your mom off your back, I think I may use it in my situation because my mom's still there with me. Just thinking a way to light the kids up a little bit. Okay. So what else is mom?
Senior research.
Where's mom coming from? That you feel like she's like writing you too much? Is that what?
There's a lot of expectations.
Yeah.
I have to do a lot. I have to go to school and get good grades and do my homework.
Yeah. Tell me about your mom. What does she do during the day?
Works, yes.
So she gets up, cleans the house, makes breakfast for everybody, takes care of lunches.
My brother cleans the house.
Helps you guys get to school. And she goes and works all day, comes home, makes you dinner.
Sometimes.
So mom works pretty hard, huh?
Yes.
So would you say you're working as hard as mom?
Way harder.
Way harder?
Of course. I do way more than my mom does.
Really?
You don't have teenager kids, don't you?
I do. He's 12, turning 13 in August. We're just on the cusp. We're just getting into that non-communicating.
My daughter thought she did so much more than I did in the house.
Really?
So much more.
Well, I can tell you my kids do that now.
Well, but also not healthy.
No, I have an issue with my wife. Trying to gently encourage her to work with the kids more. When I get home, I set down some law. She's at home. She doesn't even pay attention to what's going on. That's another issue.
So I didn't mean to be tough like that. I'm going through the same situation in farms because I'm the kids in the foster care system. And this is part of what I get.
Really?
Sometimes it's just
Is that normal because, is that just a normal teenager? Or is this more because of the type of students you have there at your school?
It's both, right? So it's a little bit of teenager and a little bit of, coming from a place that I would come from, my family would come from. It's kind of
a learning disability or?
So my child is my child is in foster care, which means they are neglected and abused.
At work, not at home.
This is what I volunteer. So, I get together once a week. Sometimes driving questions out. It's so hard to just like seriously, do you want to pass with that? Getting that answer out of her is like she has to, because she knows that's what she's supposed to do. But she doesn't believe she believes that she doesn't have the ability, but she knows that's what she's doing.
Reverse roles.
Okay. I don't know that I'm going to do any better. I mean, I think you did excellently. You did what I would do, but okay. Yeah.
We're just trying to open up the child's eyes.
I thought it was really good.
I see the mom thing.
I really like the question, like what inspires you? Because so few adults ask that question. What is it, you ask? What is it that you do in your free time? What is it that inspires you? Because, I think the kids need to know it's okay that I'm inspired by anything, whatever it is.
Watch the movie Dead Society.
Yeah.
Why did you react that way?
One of my favorites.
Mine too.
It's one of my favorites.
I wonder if sending the kids home with a copy of it to watch it would be a good thing.
Yeah, it depends on the kid. Every kid is so different. And one of the reasons why when we were talking about separating each of them, is that they have different life experiences. themselves, and I'm afraid that they compare themselves. I like what she said.